Hey, kid. Nice ride. Can you race it? We'll see about that. Hello and welcome to Good Boys Gone Bland, Season 9, Episode 8, Ford V Ferrari. I'm your co-host, Denali.
I'm your co-host, Ryan.
I'm your co-host, Jace, and this movie is the art of racing in the rain without a dog.
No, Don't say it, Jace. Don't you dare say it, okay? You sent us a text. You said you weren't going to say it.
I said my name. I had to bomb the intro
Unless
some
you
other
had
way.
God. What? Do not invoke.
Wait, I think
Okay.
this is fine because a discussion topic.
Okay.
What movie do dads like more, Ford v Ferrari or Racing in the Rain?
I'm thinking this movie, dude.
Christian or
Yeah.
non-denominational or whatever non-denominational means.
Christian or Christian Bale?
Ooh.
Yo.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think dads love Christian Bale, and I think dads are going to love this
I
shit.
think this
Are
is
you
the
fucking
most dad
kidding
core
me, bro?
movie we've ever watched.
Ever in the
That's-
whole podcast.
Yeah, 98 episodes or 88 episodes or whatever.
And I'm surprised to say this, but I am loving this level of dad core. I think we've hit the meter so hard. I'm completely dad juiced. All right, I want to talk about lawns. I want to talk about how they don't make wheelbarrows the same. I want to talk about how music confuses and scares me nowadays. And I want to watch my favorite show, Hitler's Alien Super Weapons on the History Channel.
Oh, that's what the history. Maybe start with the channel on that.
Well,
On
it's about its
Skinemax,
weapons.
actually.
Do dads watch Skinemax?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they're not too tired from
I gotta
mowing
stay
lawns
up
and all that other
10:30.
shit.
Watch this light porno. Folks, welcome to our show. We're 8 episodes in to a surprisingly not very dadcore season so far until this point. Our car season. We've watched 8 car movies. We got 2 more left, and we watched a certain Oscar nominee. I don't think we've had an Oscar nominee yet this season. Have we?
How does that work again?
Maybe in some other category. Not BP.
Who puts forward Oscar nominees?
the rich and
Oscar,
powerful.
I think
and-
this...
That's
It's a
not
guy-
like the kids for the kids Nickelodeon choices, is it right?
Every man named Oscar who was born after 1948 had a role in voting for these
I
movies.
just don't understand why their statue doesn't look anything like the Wienermobile.
There's a through line of the Wienermobile, our car podcast, and the Oscars that I'm not able to thread right now because we're so out of practice, I feel. Because, folks, we've had an interrupted season. We said this in the beginning of the season. This season's going to be interrupted because we had the summer. We've got a bunch of shit going on. But we're hoping to kind of bang the rest of this out and be a little more consistent. But bear with us here. We're going to work out the kinks. And I think the best way for us to work out the kinks is to do some exercises, okay? Now, Ford versus Ferrari fans, okay, you signed in. I know, maybe your kids showed you how to use the podcast app and you wanted to listen to this fun podcast. Well, you're just going to, there's no way to fast forward, unfortunately, on this app. You have to just kind of listen to the whole thing. So you're just going to have to wait a little while we do these exercises. I can cut this out if this doesn't work. But maybe we should give it a try and see if we can get back into our old selves. So what is the thing that defines our Good Boys Gone Bland podcasts?
Shit takes.
Shit takes, Jace, down in front, excellent. But the other thing that defines our podcast is great improv comedy. So what we're going to be doing today is going to be running through some exercises to kind of help us get back into our quick, improv wits. And to make great, funny jokes on the spot that'll definitely elicit a laugh from our listeners, new and old.
Guys, I have been sick for 35 days.
Now, Ryan, this is not the time for complaining. You're always about me. Do something for the team for once. Okay,
Today was the first day where I was okay enough to exercise and everything, and I was like, okay, we're gonna normal record time 7:00. It's late for me. I've been crashing.
Yeah.
But I have enough brain faculty to stick around, hit my beat points on my notes, and then cash in for the night.
Listen to me, Ryan. Deep in there, deep in that heart of hearts, there's a little London boy hoping to get out. And you need You need to cough the phlegm off him, and you need to summon up whatever energy you have.
Yeah.
And by
I actually
God, we're
forgot
gonna
about
get
that.
through this.
That was good improv.
That's actually
Jace.
good.
Yeah.
That's good, Jace, because I did forget about my
And
my,
now he's
my
gonna
bag
bring
of
that
tricks.
Back. You fucking did this, Jace. He forgot about
It's
it.
Christian
It was-
Bale's cousin,
we've
for all
never-
we know.
We've never gotten to this point where it's been long enough for Ryan to forget about his English character, and you just reminded him. I have 3 improv generators in front of me. Okay,
3?
I've got different ones. Okay, we've been using "Can I Get a little too long. We're starting to get the same shit over and over. Okay, we've been getting werewolf at a space station, I think, like 3 times now. It's time to mix things up a little bit. All right, I've got the Glasgow fucking improv generator. I've got the dramateacher.com.
Like Glasgow, the Scottish city.
Yeah, the capital
Get
of
out
improv.
of my swamp.
Get out of my swamp. My swamp. What's
I'm
that?
from Scotland.
Yeah, and they love that. They love what we're doing right now. First scene is going to be Ryan and Jace, because I'm the coach, and I need to coach you through this, okay? And folks at home, if you've never seen us do improv before, I have tons of improv experience, okay? I've taken 2 one-hour classes on improv, and we have done about, 80 or 90 hours of remote improv on this thing. That we have mostly deleted.
Do you remember when I
Yes.
visited you and Jace at Wazoo
10 years ago.
sophomore year, and I was there for like less than 72 hours, and what
Mm-hmm.
you thought would be fun to do on like one of the 2 nights I was there was take me to a college improv show that you like weren't a part of.
We didn't go. Did we go? Did we
We
go
went.
to the Nut House? We went to Nut House?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't remember.
I don't know if everybody went. Like Jason's whole crew didn't go like from his house, but like
Oh, that's amazing. So Ryan, you've been like ground zero of like where I came up. Like
Yes.
the scene that I'm a part of.
I had been to 2 professional
Yeah.
improv shows before that.
Yeah.
And then
And
I
so-
was actually rather happy with how it went because it was pretty good. It was pretty funny. And amateur improv can be funny. You just have to
Yeah,
buy
guys.
into it.
Yeah, folks at home, remember what Ryan said.
We're
so you
below
two-
amateur, but that's fine.
No, we're not. I'm cutting that out, Ryan. I'm cutting that out. We are professional, and we have received money for this podcast. No, we haven't. I'm going to Venmo one of you guys some money, and we can say we're professionals.
The IRS would come
Jace
after
funds.
us so hard.
Jace does. We collectively owe Jace like $600.
Oh, fuck. I'm never paying you.
No.
You have to pry it from my fucking hands.
You do audio editing. You don't owe me anything.
I'm going to give you an inna, a witha, and a while for this scene. All right? In a virtual reality gaming center with a merry-go-round while a neighborhood cleanup occurs. I can
did
repeat
one of
this
those
if needed.
I did one of those not too long ago. It's how my sickness happened.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
okay,
I
begin,
do
begin.
want to.
Jace is already on the merry-go-round.
Should I leave the setting to improv because I'm confused?
It started.
Hey, do you like my avatar?
Fuck, please.
Hello. Yeah. We don't have these over the pond.
Sorry, can you say that again? I didn't catch that.
We don't have these over the pond.
Oh, wow. I get it. I totally understand what you mean now.
I'm muting both of you, so just give me a thumbs up when the scene's over.
I don't understand how we could do all 3 of those things. I don't remember what I was talking about.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna end the scene. That's okay. That was the first scene.
That was pretty good.
I'm gonna coach you
Professional.
guys. All right. Okay,
Okay,
no
wait.
problem. We're
So
working
wait,
out
hold
the
on.
kinks. Okay.
VR
In a VR
Yes.
gaming center.
in a
You're on a
also on a
merry-go-round,
merry-go-round
Uh-huh.
and this event happens,
while we're doing a neighborhood cleanup.
or a neighborhood cleanup happens maybe while you're on the merry-go-round.
That's all
How
we
is
had
that
to get. That's all we
possible?
had to get to, Ryan.
You gotta-
Are we
you just gotta
outside?
Get there.
It's virtual
It's whatever.
reality. I
You
brought
build
up
the
I brought
world.
up my character. I was
Yes.
pretending to ride a merry-go-round. We
Yes.
just needed to get to the cleanup, okay?
Jace, A+. Ryan, keep trying. All right. It's okay. It's okay.
Keep
First
trying, Ryan.
scene back. I'm gonna make you guys do another one though. Okay.
Hey, you're not giving us a. I like when there's a keyword. Like, how are you
Yeah.
Okay.
gonna?
Fine.
Yeah.
I'll give you a
Yeah,
keyword.
is there
next
something to
one.
work towards?
We need a bailout.
Okay. I'll
essentially.
give you a
because
bailout
I
or
would
a
have
safe
said
word.
it immediately when
All right,
when
you
he did
guys-
the baby voice.
Okay, I'll give you
It
guys a
made me
safe word.
forget all about my character.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. In a shoe belonging to a giant,
Oh, okay.
with a xylophone, while a solar eclipse darkens the sky,
Oh, okay.
your safe word is notebook. You guys can write this down. That's a lot of shit to memorize.
So I saw Jason jotting. I'm going to have to jot.
See, I know people listen to this on their commute. I wonder, like, what is the kind of the dollar amount of damage that we cause to people's mornings, like with their productivity? Like, listening to this, does it affect their mood and they're not able to, like, work as hard the rest of the day? I just hope we have an effect.
This is good because there's not 3 simultaneous things that are exclusive of each other that we...
They're not exclusive. You could be on a merry-go-round while a cleanup happens.
How do we see it?
Maybe the neighborhood, had a fair, and there was a merry-go-round that was left over, and we decided to use it.
Jace, you get another A+.
I don't know, Brian. Sometimes
I
weird things happen.
Okay. Start the scene when you feel comfortable.
Hello, governor.
Bah!
Not quite a lively shoe we're having.
Bah!
Oh, are you one of them Welsh folk?
Bah!
All right. Well, what's that you got there? Whoa. Oh, what? That's a you opened an entire bag of Takis? Wow.
Bah!
You're not really yes-anding
This
me.
is such a dick
You're
move.
not yes-anding me.
Just making Ryan act against a goat. Well, Ryan.
Hey, man.
You all right, dude?
Sorry.
I mean, you all right?
I cast a spell and I turned into a goat.
Radio. My name's James.
Oh, I'm Leo TDD BBD.
TBD, BBD.
Yep.
Oh, the xylophone maker.
Yes. Wow. What? Really?
Yeah.
You knew that?
Yeah, my dad's from Cornwall.
Big into xylophones.
Yeah.
It's a struggling market. But yeah, I did use it. I'm the maker of the xylophones, and I used a spell to turn myself into a goat. Where are we?
We are I think we're in orbit, technically.
Cis lunar orbit?
Lunar orbit.
It smells like a shoe in here.
Yeah, that's rather astute.
And this looks like a toenail.
Oh, that's yeah, sorry. The former inhabitant, he was a little superstitious.
I could turn this giant's toenail into a xylophone. Let me draw the schematics in my notebook.
And scene, and that was a much better scene, a huge improvement. We had an arc, we had characters.
I didn't know where to go. We had
okay.
a sheep situation, and then I lost my accent.
It's okay. That was an improvement. Jace, you get an A+ for the multifaceted character, a character with an arc. He starts as a goat, the lowest point you can possibly go, and he turns into a human who makes xylophones. All right? Ryan, just keep trying, bud. I think we're almost there. Now, this next scene, I'm gonna work Jace a little more. I'm gonna give Ryan a break. He was kind of coughing a little bit off camera. All right, I'm gonna do just Jace by himself. Just kidding. No, it's gonna be me and Jace.
Okay.
He's gonna do a one-man show. So Jace and I are. I'll show you guys how a real coach does this. This is like when the coach plays volleyball. So you guys better fucking watch out for some ricochet here. We are in a secret underground bunker with a pirate hook while a camel strolls by, and the word is confession. Oh, it's cold in here.
Man.
Oh, hello?
Hello?
Who is that? Is someone else in here?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You can call me the Claw.
The Claw? That's
Claw.
a really alarming thing to say. It's pitch black in here. Could you have a real name?
Yes, but I prefer not to say it.
Okay. Well, I'm the Death Exterminator 2000. Pleasure to meet you, the Claw.
Pleasure
does
to
that
meet
feel?
you, Death Exterminator 2000.
Really, nothing. Okay. Well, let me look for a light here, and
I'll reach out to the darkness to find you.
Oh my God! I feel a hand. Is that you?
Yes. Oh, This is my
Where's your
left
other-
hand, though. Shake
Okay.
my right hand.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. I'm sorry. Is this what is this?
I'm wearing a pirate hook.
Do you say a pirate hook?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that doesn't make sense with the name either. But that's great. What's with the pirate hook?
A pirate hook's kind of like a claw. I didn't want to introduce myself as the pirate hook.
Anyways, that's not important. I'm glad.
This
Nice to meet
bunker's
you.
nowhere near the water. I'm not a pirate.
Okay. All right. There's all sorts of shit going on in here. All I know is a big flash, and I went down a staircase with a bunch of people, and then I went into this room, and I shut the door, and it's all dark in here, and I guess you're in here too.
I remember something like smelling a fart, and then
Yeah.
my hand getting cut off, a pirate
okay.
hook, and now I'm here.
Wait, that happened recently? You're a hook guy really recently? That didn't happen before?
3 days, at least.
Okay, let's see if we can feel around and find a way out of here. You feel with your one hand. I got two here, so maybe I can do kind of double duty.
You've
for us.
got 2 hands.
No, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Hey, no. Look, it's not that great.
It'll be okay. Do you
Your
hear
name's
that?
cool. Yeah, I do hear that. It sounds like. Is that what? Surely it's a horse, right? That's the only animal that would make a sound like that.
It sounds like some cloven-hooved animal.
Okay, let's think of all those animal. Horse, zebra.
Elk, reindeer.
Oh my God! Wait, I think I feel it.
You can feel it twice as good as I
think,
can.
I think, yeah, I can.
Is it still? It's still moving. You can still hear. You can still
It
feel
spit
it.
on me.
Llama?
Yeah, I think it's llama. It's got 2 humps on it. I can feel it with both my hands.
No.
Here.
Llamas don't have 2 humps. I know. Before I got this hook,
Yeah.
I
How'd
raised.
you lose the?
Well, I used to raise alpacas
Yeah.
and llamas. They don't have 2 lumps.
And wait, I think I feel something. It's warm and moist. Oh God! Oh. I don't feel it. I think it ate my hand.
A cloven-hooved animal that eats hands? Satan?
Look, I have a confession to make. When we walked in, I saw a sign that said "Hand Eating Factory." And scene. That was a great extended scene. I'm gonna edit these down, for God's sakes.
You can edit me out of this episode completely if you'd like.
I feel,
Not gonna happen.
I feel like the "Can I get a" leads to at least a more jokey premise than me being like, "What in the fuck are we doing?"
I think we're carving an interesting scene. I think we're getting something.
It was really funny, unintentionally funny, when Jace said llamas don't have 2 humps.
Do they?
He meant to say llamas don't have humps, not 2 humps. I think he meant, but he was also trying to give you a biological fact about camels.
Oh, do camels clop?
I have no clue.
They're always on sand. Okay.
Camels have hooves.
I think they have hooves. I don't know if they clop.
They don't have hooves. Camels don't have hooves.
I'm trying to imagine a camel's foot right now. I don't think I can imagine anything. We're going to do one more scene, all right? Ryan and I are going to do a scene.
Please get me out of this.
Okay? Ryan and I are going to do a scene. We are in a grand opera house with a piece of space junk while a medieval sword fighting workshop takes place.
What's the second thing?
Piece of space junk. We are with a piece of space
Everything
junk.
has like 5 words that you said.
Yeah, skibbity shibbity with a little bit of skibbity.
What was the third thing?
Treatise on economic relations in the 17th century
Are you
France.
fucking me?
While a medieval sword fighting workshop takes place. Our safe word is architect. I imagine her safe word is like the ringing phone in the Matrix to get out
Yes,
of
that's
the area.
That's good.
Okay, what do you think it looks like, John?
To me, it looks like a, I don't know, like a hunk of metal. It appears to be charred.
I've definitely never seen. Oh God, do you mind? Do you guys mind? Yeah.
Did they get
Sorry.
you?
Okay.
Did they get
Do you
you?
guys have to do this right now? All right. This is one of the greatest finds I think of the 21st century. Okay.
21st? 22nd, bro.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Remember?
I'm a 90s
I know the
kid.
time
Sorry,
dilation.
yeah.
I know the
Yeah.
time dilation is hard, but like keep it straight. So that's what your
Okay.
mega watch is for.
Thanks. Yeah. I keep forgetting. Okay. Cool. So, oh man.
But what? Speaking of centuries, what century is this from?
Let's think of when there was space. All right. Ancient France.
Oh yeah, sure. Here, buddy. Here, yeah, no problem.
Oh, yeah, don't drop that. Okay.
Actually, that's a good little parlay. Ancient France.
Where are we?
Did you hit your head again?
I think I did.
Damn.
I think this landed on me earlier. I'm a little disoriented.
Oh,
it's beautiful
that makes
in
sense.
here.
that would explain why it's currently pinning my legs to the floor.
Oh, yeah. Wait, do you think... Why won't these guys help us?
Who?
Guys?
I don't know. Short one. I don't like the looks of that short one.
No, swing downwards on the shield, and that'll help kind of break the guard. Yeah, no problem. Do you guys think you can... No, he's just busy. He's busy. Okay.
What do you think this is? This it feels like a liquid pouch.
Oh,
It looks like
that's not...
It looks like there's actually like some sort of like food.
Yeah, keep
food
pulling.
storage here.
Yeah, keep pulling. I'll just kind of hold what you got
I
here.
can only reach so far, but this
Yeah.
says Capri-san.
Cool. Yeah. No.
There seems to
We
be
should.
some sort of like rudimentary sucking mechanism.
Yeah. Well,
RSMs.
maybe. Yeah. Of course.
Please call them
RSM.
RSMs.
Well, let me see what else is in here. I see a micro Debbie or a little Debbie in here as well.
Wow.
I think it's some kind of inflatable sponge.
Still perfectly preserved.
This is great. I can't wait to bring this back. Fellas. Okay. Listen, we're from the future, and we're trying to examine this. Ryan, we're gonna have to laser all of
from
these
the
people
future?
later. Look, as the architect of this entire mission, I have all the details here.
I forgot to put in jokes. I
We're
was
like,
just trying to stay in character. I did everything I could
that was great, Ryan.
to stay in character.
We were like
What?
two jazz musicians, kind of
playing each other.
dissonant
why?
tones. You know? Okay,
Why does improv have to be funny?
that's what I'm saying.
Is that a genre that hasn't been cracked yet? Improv drama?
I mean, improv theater is a thing.
Really?
Yeah, like where people just improvise like the scenes dramatically.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, I mean
So most
we
people
can do comedy improv that's not funny. I think that could be a good
That seems to be our niche.
thing to break into. But great, folks.
I'm also
I
realizing that the space work we were doing wouldn't come through on audio.
think it was hard. I was trying to paint a
There's going
picture.
to be a lot of blank air as I look around the room at the people fighting.
I will edit this into something that is a laugh riot, guaranteed, folks at home. So don't you worry. And, what you just heard was the better version of what actually happened in front of us. Keep that in mind, all right?
You're welcome.
Dads at home, thank you for bearing with us. I'm
Dads
so
eat that
sorry.
shit up.
Dads love theater, and they love improv theater especially. We'll contact Tim Cook about maybe getting a fast forward button eventually. But folks, we did watch a movie this week, all right? We're going to talk about the movie now, all right? We're going to talk about Ford versus Ferrari, our eighth foray into the garage. Our most recent movie, 2019. I guess this was my pick this week. I'll give you a little synopsis. This is much like Speed Racer, based on a true story. This is between two companies in the title trying to compete to win the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is a race that's 24 hours long. I did not hear about this race before seeing this movie, but it is a sweet-ass race. Ford wants to create a super cool car that's going to beat Ferrari because everyone thinks Ford is for dorks, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they hire Mr. Carroll Shelby, played by Matt Damon, to design a sweet-ass car. And they end up making the Shelby Mustang GT40, the proud car of all douchebags in America. And they also employ Christian Bale, who plays Ken Miles, famed race car driver, to kind of help them win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And the movie just kind of progresses from there. It's one of your run-of-the-mill kind of biopic, based on a true story films. They're kind of just building towards the conception of this car and the race to the finish by Team Ford against Ferrari, I guess. Yeah, that's the movie. I mean, I don't think it's too complicated. Is this your guys' first watch of this movie? Have you guys heard of it, seen it?
First watch.
Watch number 2.
Oh,
really?
So Jace has seen it. You've seen
I did
this
not
when
know
it
that, Jace.
came out?
Yeah.
Would not have expected that. Now, Jace, did you watch it when it came out?
Ooh.
Because my question is, how the hell did this come out in 2019?
I thought this came out last year.
I thought it would, 2021 fall maybe. That might be like a pandemic time crunch. thing that's happening. But I swear this was rather recent.
2019.
The pandemic happening right after this movie came out, like I could not give a rat fuck about Ford versus Ferrari when all that other shit was happening, and I think it just erased it from my mind totally. But yeah, that's interesting to hear, Jace. I mean, because this is also just right before we started the podcast, so it's a very recent movie in that respect. But this came out November 15th, 2019. It was a box office success, all right? This sucker made like $200 million off a budget of like 90 mil or some shit. Pretty good return here. It opened #1 in the box office this week, all right? Now we're getting into recent box office shit. Let's see how good your guys' memory is of right before the pandemic.
Yeah, telling you right before that I didn't know when it came out is not going to help me because every movie I suggest is not going to be accurate.
There is another movie that debuted with this thing and it opened #2. This is a reboot of a popular franchise that was a reboot of a popular TV show. And I'll tell you this, I did not remember this coming out at all.
Reboot of a franchise that was a reboot of a TV show. Is it a superhero movie?
It is not.
Is this
is it an action movie?
Scooby-Doo?
It is an action movie.
Just Scooby. Or just the Scrappy or whatever.
Scooby-Doo, just Scooby. That didn't come out
It's
yet.
called Scoob.
It wasn't Scoob.
It's not Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's not Sonic the Hedgehog. I'll give you a hint, and this may be too much of a hint. It stars Kristen Stewart, and it's about spies.
I Spy.
What?
I know, when I saw the cover, I was like, oh yeah.
Kristen Stewart. About spies? When has she been in the spy movie?
A reboot.
It's a reboot of a very popular franchise. Yeah.
So we've heard of it.
Yeah. Elizabeth Banks directed and stars in this.
Do you think I've seen the original?
I think you've seen something of this series, at least a clip.
Do you think is it like a female version of a movie that originally had male cast?
It's not like, okay, it's a team of spies.
Ocean's 13.
Less people, way less people.
Team of spies.
Yes.
Team America. Yeah, I don't remember
Team
the
America
name.
World Police.
It's Born Ultimatum.
You guys really don't know this. Okay, the original movies came out in the 2000s, or like the big. You're in a closer realm. Lucy Liu was
Charlie's Angels.
It's Charlie's Angels.
Oh my god.
God damn, fucking spoon feeding over here.
I don't know what the fuck that's
with
about.
Yeah.
You ever seen Charlie's Angels, Chase?
No.
No, it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Well, they did a reboot in 2019. It didn't do so well. Because we didn't hear about it. Okay, #3 in the box office. Let's see if we can recover. This is another dadcore movie up in
King Arthur.
Right? It's not King Arthur. This would be in a season we would never do. Historical action movie made by Lionsgate.
1917.
It's not, but you're close. You're closing in on it.
Is it that one with the boats?
Dunkirk?
No, it's not Dunkirk.
Oh.
So is it a World War I or World War II movie?
It is a World War II movie. I remember seeing tons of trailers for this, and it looked bad.
Man, you
bad.
just like I'm not. If I didn't see it in the last 4 years, I wasn't interested in it, and being quizzed on it is even worse.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Actor?
I will try to find one actor you recognize.
Well, then how would I know what the
one
movie
actor we recognize?
Ed Skrein is
What?
plays the main character of Dick
Normandy.
Best. It's not Normandy. Patrick Wilson and Woody Harrelson.
Oh, Patrick Wilson.
I know, this fucking guy. Dennis Quaid, Aaron Eckhart. It's all the weird chins in one movie.
Oh wow.
There's no way this cast of B-listers. No. I have no clue. What is it?
Nick Jonas. All right. When
What?
something is...
Oh, Nick Jonas. Oh, shit. Hold on. Wait.
It is a certain battle that happened in World War II that's like kind of famous. There's a lot of planes.
D-Day.
There's a lot of boats. It's on islands.
Japan.
Oh.
It's like halfway between 2 points.
Midway.
You might say. It's midway.
What?
It's midway.
Midway.
Battle of Midway.
It's a Navy
I don't
aircraft
fuck
carrier.
with World War II movies.
I know, Chase.
I would quit if
I
the
knew.
wheel landed on that for a season. I would quit. I wouldn't even.
We'd get Ian and we would be doing fine.
Yeah, sick.
I feel like Ian would not agree to this. I'm sorry, Jace. I knew you had no chance of getting that third one.
Also, could Ian possibly replace me as well?
You guys are locked in. You guys signed a contract. Ford versus Ferrari came out in that really rich time in movies.
November. You said November 5th?
Kind of like, I guess
15th,
Thanksgiving
I think.
crowd's gonna hit this a
Yeah.
little
Oh,
bit.
Thanksgiving is a big movie day.
But yeah, like honestly, going into this movie, I wasn't that excited. Again, these like historical biopics talking about cars, and I was like, how are they gonna frame the Ford Motor Company as like this lovable underdog against this kind of cooler?
I didn't know it
Record
was
scratch.
I didn't know it was going to be about Le
didn't,
Mans.
yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be about Le Mans and the GT. So I know the story generally of the Ford GT.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite cars, actually. So I know it was my brother's favorite car growing up. So like I just knew a little bit about it. So like I knew that they had went to Le Mans and won with it, and they designed it essentially to do that. I did not know that this movie was going to be that story. I thought this was going to be one guy played Ford and one guy played Ferrari, and they were
Duked it out.
one of them was going to have a terrible Italian accent. So I thought it was going to be about like manufacturing cars and trying to be cool executives. I didn't know it was a racing movie.
I was pleasantly surprised when I heard about this movie coming out because I thought the same thing, right? When I saw Christian Bale and Matt Damon, I was like, who's going to do the Italian accent in this? How bad is it going to be?
I think the name is terrible. I think a terrible title. They should have retitled it. It's absolutely terrible.
Did you see the original name for this movie? That it was released in European markets. It was called 66 Le Mans, which I think sounds a little better. But this is the only country where it says it was Ford versus Ferrari because they thought U.S. market would not know what the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is fair. I didn't either. This was directed by James Mangold, who made a lot of good dadcore movies. You got 3:10 to Yuma. You got Logan, fucking The Wolverine, which I don't think is dad. It's a sweet ass movie though. But yeah, I mean,
check out the cinematographer has a pretty. I mean, we can talk. Well,
You
I'm
mean
gonna talk
Fight
about
on
that.
Piper Mihail?
Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna
Very
talk
good,
about him
James.
probably for a
So
while, but like,
yeah.
he's got a. I think what's interesting is the director. I don't know how much you need to direct Christian and Matt. If it's like, I think it's more like having creative control over the project rather than just like actually getting performances out of your actors. The most impactful person I thought on this movie, apart from the actors, was the cinematographer, because it was like what they did. But I had to look up halfway through the movie what they were shooting it on because I couldn't pin it down.
It looked good. This movie looks good, I think.
An
It
Arri
looks good.
Alexa LF camera with a custom lens.
Jace got that ID just by looking at the movie.
So yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm gonna go into spiel about that later.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say the sound, the look of this movie. I think just technically, you can just feel it. This is a movie that's really well crafted. I think as soon as you go in, I mean, we're coming off of a string of like kind of either low budget or kind of like weirdo movies. Even coming off of Speed Racer into this movie is kind of like a bit of like a whiplash moment. Something that's like hyper real, but also just feels really dynamic in a different way. You got kind of a lot of waxing poetic about cars right off the bat. You see Matt Damon kind of running on the speedway. Like, I think there's a lot of parallels to movies that we've seen already, but I think it's kind of more grounded. It kind of works better here for me.
It's because it's based on a book, which was based
Maybe
on
that's what-
history or something.
Yeah, maybe because it's more real. What was your guys' kind of first reaction to the movie, I guess, when you're watching it?
My first reaction, because the opening scene is a flashback, sort of. It's not really a flashback, but it's kind of like a prologue.
Kind of like Speed Racer. I don't know.
Yeah, with Matt Damon racing in a previous, I think, 54 Le Mans, as he's Carroll Shelby, and he wins, I guess. And that he like catches on fire, and his pit crew is standing there, and they're like, "Oh, you're done with the race, right?" And he's like, "Am I on fire?" No. And so they continue the race even though he caught on fire and all that kind of stuff. I did not like that scene for the acting. First off, I didn't expect Matt Damon to come out with a Texas accent. So I was like, Matt Damon's
tried.
really phoning it in on this. I was like, oh, he's normally, that's an acting thing. And I didn't think that pit crew. I didn't like that scene. The how it was written. So I was like, oh no, this is gonna be a slog, because when you pop this sucker on, you see the little bar at the bottom and it says like 2 hours and 30 something minutes.
Buckle up.
Yeah,
Right.
24 hours of this movie. That was another thing going in here. I was just like, holy shit, how many movies this season have been like pushing 2 hours? Like, you really don't need to do that.
I think I've been the well of my mind has been poisoned, and I couldn't remember. I've seen this before, but I couldn't remember what the ending was. And I was like, does he end up in Italy with his son driving for the Italian team at the end? And I'm like, no, wait, that's the Heart of Racing.
That's so funny.
We watched like multiple movies where I'm like, if I've seen, how does this end? Does he end up racing for Ferrari in Italy at the end?
Dude, this movie like parallels so many movies we've seen too.
I know.
Like they're all like, I think Christine's the only one that doesn't like fit into everything else. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Matt Damon's voice was kind of silly in this movie. I think this is the first time of seeing him trying to not play Matt Damon directly, though. I think he was trying to do something else, I'll say. But Christian Bale, I think, fucking killed it this movie.
Christian Bale.
Outrageously good.
There's a couple we've 2 Christian Bale movies only because of Reign of Fire.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
I forgot we've done.
I think at 3 separate points in this movie, Julie was like, Christian Bale is so good. And it was like at the same point where I was like thinking it, I was like, damn, this dude could fucking act. He just disappears. Like,
he does. Amber didn't recognize him.
Half the time you're like, oh man, Christian Bale's so good. And then half the time you're like, man, Ken Miles is a really compelling person. Like, I'm glad they found this guy.
Yeah. The way he plays that character, even in the beginning, where it's just he has that Brummy accent. It's like he's very insulty and just kind of quips really fast. I think he's kind of the heart of this movie.
Definitely, yeah.
I think that's what kind of won me over, because at first I was like, when you got that Ford guy going, like Henry Ford II, going up to all the factory guys and doing that like fucking...
Oh, I hated it.
Where he's like, you guys need to fucking pull it together. And he like, buffs up his suit and this music starts playing. And I'm like, was that supposed to be cool? Is
I didn't
what
know
the
whether
movie
they were
is?
like, you should be someone who's tough on your employees. And if they're not, if they're not doing like exactly what you say, you fire them all. Or if they were saying like, this guy's bad. So later learning in this, like as it went on, I think those scenes were really not terrific. Then they did, I think, the rest of the movie a big disservice.
It's
go ahead.
Well, that's interesting to me because having him set as the antagonist in a power position that everybody else is kind of at the beck and call of a rich baby Henry Ford II, gave a lot of payoff. I actually liked it. But every time he talked, I just like would hear Denali's baby voice like, you guys need to make more cars for me.
Please. Yeah, I mean, I agree that like he was a really effective antagonist. Him and Leo Beebe, like his vice president, like holy shit, like that guy always plays massive fucking dickheads. But I mean, I was worried though, like coming off that scene where I was like, okay, is this going to glorify this dude? Is this guy going to be the hero of the movie? But seeing how Christian Bale and Matt Damon kind of came to the forefront in spite of Ford, I think was kind of what won me over with this movie. Like Ford is kind of the thing that's holding them back. Like it's not a pro Ford movie. It's not a movie that Ford would be like, yeah, we'll give you tons of money to make this. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a question I had. How do you think the licensing and the product placement and everything worked in this movie? Because obviously there was a lot of product placement. Like you could see Coca-Cola labels and Wonder Bread and stuff. But like,
I wanted that Coke so bad. It looked so fucking good.
For Ford and Ferrari, I truly am interested in how the legal process works. Like, Could you only make this script and project with Ford's permission and Ferrari's permission? So I think the fact that it's based on history does give it a little bit of like, leeway to do what they want with those titles. But like, I wonder if they approached Ford and were like, hey, if you want to help us, fund this. And I wonder if Ford was like, yes, this movie portrays us as the winners, therefore we are good. Maybe like,
and we're going to piss on your CEO and make him look like a dick. I mean, that's interesting, Ryan. I will say, watching this movie, and I mentioned that I thought the Mustang Shelby is a car for douchebags, and I do not like that car the way I've seen it on the road. Watching this movie, I was like, that car's fucking cool. That car, it whips ass. And when I saw the Ferraris in this movie, I'm like, those cars are cool. Those are works of art, and those are awesome. So I think everyone came out looking, like the company-wise, kind of cool. Like, I don't know. I thought that looked awesome.
Well, I went to Ferrari's website today, and let me tell you, I kind of felt like a 14-year-old playing Need for Speed again, like
Hell yeah.
like looking through the sections and being like, man, can I have a supercar?
Dude,
Now,
yeah.
Denali, I do want to. Well, I'm gonna be the car guy.
Okay. Be the guy.
I don't want to car correct you,
Okay, please. Car
but
correct.
the current Shelbys are not the GT.
Okay.
The current Shelbys that you're seeing on the street are
Mm-hmm.
versions of the Mustang.
Okay. I'm
So-
glad you're doing this on air before I get well actually'd by people after the fact. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, the Shelby branded with the Cobra is
Mm-hmm.
an enhanced, upgraded version built on the same chassis and platform as the Mustangs nowadays. That's how most people are familiar with the name Shelby related to cars. This movie is about the Ford GT, which Shelby had a hand in making. Obviously, that's the whole plot of this movie. But yeah, the namesake car, the Shelby, came out much later. And
Gotcha. Okay.
for reference, Eleanor in Gone in 60 Seconds, the MacGuffin car they were chasing the whole movie, that was a Ford Shelby.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
it wasn't the GT that was.
Yeah.
In
No,
this
the
movie.
confusing
Okay.
part
Yeah.
is the Shelbys are called the Ford Shelby GTs. It's really a Mustang.
GT is Grand Touring is a name for vehicles that are race
Yeah, the
kind of
GT
racy, right?
acronym gets put out a
grandpa
lot
turd.
of the
Yeah.
GT acronym put everywhere.
Okay.
But like
gotcha.
the car, the Ford GT, technically the Ford GT40 is like a specific subset. It's a different model.
Too many letters. Okay. Okay. It's different. Fine. That car in the movie was cool. I'll say that. I got cover now. All right.
Yeah, they were never production cars.
Okay. Great. That car's fucking cool, guys. Yeah. And then those old Ferraris, absolutely beautiful. Like in those movies when they're doing the shots on the racetrack, I think the cars in this looked cool. Even those test cars, like all the space age looking stuff. It looked really great. I think the sound in this movie, even coming out of our crappy like old TV, it like you can hear like the purr of the engine and it's loud as fuck and it sounds, for the first time I'm like, I get why people like that sound.
We had our surround going, and the first thing before it shows you the 54 Le Mans footage, they have the car, like while the titles are still going of the companies, they have car noises in the background, like zooming around in the surround sound behind you.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty cool. So that was our
rules.
first comment, actually, was the sound was really good.
Didn't they win the Oscar for sound?
Something
Yeah, they
like that.
won
Sound editing, I
Yeah,
think.
best sound editing, or I think they got nominated at least. There's a scene where they go to Italy to where Ford is trying to buy out Ferrari, and I think there's a kind of a good encapsulation of the situation here. And I was afraid they were going to try to ignore this, where Ferrari is just described as this awesome artisan company that's small. They don't really give a fuck about like making production cars and making a ton of shit. They have one guy making the engine. It's just like this great like handcrafted thing. And then he basically tells the Ford employee to go fuck himself and a string of insults. But like, I'm glad they kind of went there in the movie, kind of being like, okay, this is a big company trying to just absolutely demolish a smaller, cooler artisan company here. Like, don't lose like the vision of what's actually happening, but we're just going to show the guys that made it happen, you know?
It's not, and then it's interesting because that truly did happen. They used an American company that would rile up European auto manufacturers to increase the bid price to buy out Ferrari because they were in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And are now like, essentially owned by Fiat Chrysler, which is cool. But
Fiats are cool, man.
yeah, it all funnels into capitalism. It just didn't funnel into American capitalism. It stayed European.
Hell yeah. I mean, to speak about a little bit about the capitalist aspect too, like this is kind of like Speed Racer, you know, you've got like the great racer who's in it for the love of the game. And you've got this company that has this ulterior motive. He's like, no, racing's not about the sport. It's not about the perfect lap. It's about selling shit. It's about making money. It's about stocks. And you have the same kind of back and forth. Even Carroll Shelby, a businessman, is kind of caught in between Ken Miles and Henry Ford in this. And I don't know like how true all of that is in real life, but I really like the interplay of those three factors, pushing and pulling. And that was my favorite part of Speed Racer.
So he, I don't know that this is really a segue, but
Yeah.
I did the conversion for, if you're sitting in Ken Miles' shoes, which is one we've completely glanced over, is a great name for a race car driver.
Fucking
Ken
great.
Miles.
Speed
Ken
Racer.
Miles,
Yeah,
you know,
Ken Miles.
it's essentially, and
KM is-
that was his fucking name in real life. That's, He was getting paid. I really like.
Oh, yes.
You know, he lost his job at the garage. He was a race car driver. He's 45. Kind of the same story that we've seen in a lot of other these movies where he's getting out of the age where maybe this is what he should be doing. He's trying to provide for his family. And he goes and he races at night or drives a test car with Shelby. And the next day is completely zonked out, probably just thinking about the car and the job, eating that bag of chips. Great product placement.
Yeah.
And his wife, goes into the scene where she starts driving erratically and she's like, why aren't you telling me what's happening? What the fuck? And you can tell she's at wit's end because he doesn't have a job. She's working a lot, trying to take care of the kid. He ends up saying, I have this job. It's $200 a day. And it completely changes the tone. It's like, are you fucking nuts? Yes, take the job.
Yeah.
That would be $2,000 a day in 2023 money.
Holy fuck.
And I was thinking about that. Like, he's taking this money. He finally has a job that he can support for his family. And he obviously, in the end, at the race, wants to win. But like, I think at the same time, even though they didn't show it, this is the one opportunity that maybe he was like, okay, if I stop and I finish the same time as these three dudes, my family can just be taken care of.
Yeah, I can just fucking retire after 1 year of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll take $200 a day in today's money.
Yeah.
It's not bad, honestly.
That's fine, dude.
Yeah, dude. So Jace, I paused the movie and did the same inflation calculator because I was like, okay, I got to find this shit out. Coming off of Christine, too, where we were like, oh, yeah, this car is like $400. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, so Ken Miles is kind of seen as kind of the working class underdog in this movie. He has kind of the Birmingham accent from auto manufacturing and shit. You also have John Bernthal, I think, did a great,
I
he had a
really
couple
liked
scenes
him.
in
He
this.
was, I think,
Yeah.
a great, not that the other executives weren't good actors, but he outacted the rest of the executives by far.
He is phenomenal. I don't know. I think he's destined for an Oscar at some point. If he finds the right role, he always fucking kills it. Amazing. Even Henry Ford Henry Ford II, that actor was phenomenal as well. I think he was pretty commanding, even though he's a dick. The great iconic scene, like that was in the trailers, where they're in that test car, and Matt Damon is like freaking him the fuck out, like doing all these like turns, and like I'm like turning with the car in that scene, and then Ford has that breakdown in the car. I thought that was seriously great, where he's like invoking his dad and everything. It was just, it was awesome.
So we hit a couple of my notes, but before we get into like the meat of it, I want to talk a little bit about how I experienced this movie. And I mean, like, from
high on pneumonia meds, awake for 3 days. I turned on Ford and Ferrari.
I was in a race car.
I watched this 24 hours ago. I was fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, like, what I was focusing on when I was watching it, and what I was immediately surprised by was like the character that this was shot with. And I mean that like literally how it was portrayed, like how it came across onto the screen. And there was this effortless, well, really most parts effortless way of like retrofying what we were looking at, because it's a digital movie.
Yeah.
But it looked old school. Like they didn't have to dress up in like old timey clothes to let me know this was like in the 60s. And there was the scene where they have their first race that we see together, and they're like arguing with each other and everything about getting disqualified because their trunk on their car is not big enough. And that scene, I had to pause a couple times because I could not figure out what was bothering me. And I have a couple points I'd like to make outside of my review section that I normally... I've eschewed Ryan's technical corner for about 6 seasons now, but this is kind of where I'm going, is that this movie was shot on a digital camera on a large format, but it was shot with anamorphic lenses.
Custom made.
Yeah, so what I immediately thought was like, oh wow, is this on film? And then I was like, no, it can't be film. That would be insane. It's got to be digital. And I was like, okay, it's anamorphic though, which looked really weird because some shots were anamorphic and some shots are not. And when you have a large format shot that's anamorphic, you can, if you know what to look for, you can tell. There's vignetting in the corners, so the corners are darker. The bottom of the frame it's blurred. The sides of the frame can be shaped funny if it's not a great lens. And the bokeh, which is lights that are out of focus, will be ovals. And so it's very obvious anamorphic in most scenes. And then there's some scenes where I was so confused, it took me out of the movie, actually. And I think this is an interesting like Hollywoodization and an interesting like look under the hood at how movies are actually made and edited nowadays. Well, not only nowadays, because they used to do this back in the day too, but some shots would be cropped. And normally you don't need to do that when it's shot in anamorphic because it's already cropped for you. The weird part there would only be vignette in like one corner. And it would be huge. There would be a huge vignette, and like maybe like an eighth of the screen down on the bottom would be like blacked out. And I was like, what? Like, because it's moving with the camera, so it's not like someone's shadow or something. And it was really hard to like. Why are there not vignettes in the other corners?
Wait, I think I'm not understanding what you mean by vignette, because I know vignette as a small scene. What do you mean by vignette?
When the corners of the frame are dark, because it's a circular lens.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
Put onto a rectangle. So if you draw a circle on a rectangle and it touches the sides, the corners aren't hit as much by as much light. So there's darkness in the corners. Sometimes it would be only one corner and it would be huge. And I couldn't figure out like why it would be that way. Why would they would even keep that take if there was something wrong? But I think what they were doing was they were cropping digitally. And what tipped me off was in the same shot, it would disappear and then it would reappear on the left. So you would have this big blackout mark on the right, and then it would disappear and it would be big blackout mark on the left. And what that told me was that they were digitally moving the section of the frame that was being displayed from a larger selection. They were displaying in one corner, and then as they wanted to keep the action and focus like in the center of the screen, they actually missed the blocking a little bit, because it was a big scene where Christian Bale's doing this, and the blocking and the camera movement wasn't quite right. So they digitally cropped it and moved the crop around as they were playing it.
So they're like Ken Burnsing the scene, right? Like with okay, I see what you mean. Okay.
And that was really distracting. And we're gonna cut like 5 minutes out of this rant.
It's okay. Yeah.
But like, I wonder who had the final call on the edit. I wonder, like, this is truly a question I don't know the answer to. I wonder if the cinematographer had the call on the crop and pan.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it did get nominated for Best Film Editing. And I think when I don't even know if I noticed stuff like that, but I would just kind of like ascribe it probably to like the style. I was like, oh, it's just the style. They want to make it look kind of different. I don't know.
So, I thought it was digitally added in that scene because it was so pronounced.
Right.
And that's what tipped me off to make me have to Google it. So I thought that scene was actually done poorly.
Fidon Papa Michael, if you want to come on the show and explain yourself,
I think he just didn't have the edit. That's my guess. Is he didn't have the edit.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting though, Ryan. I didn't notice that shit. Maybe someone out there, if you're a cinematographer, maybe you can speak to this. And if you know Fidon, you're welcome on the show, dog. Explain yourself. I mean, there was a lot of interesting choices in here. I think the color also looked really dynamic in here. The race scenes too, fucking poppin'. That Daytona 24 hours thing, the halfway race. I feel like all these movies have like a halfway race. And in this movie, the 24 hours Daytona, where Matt Damon bets the farm on Ken Miles to stay in the race. I think that shit was awesome. I was like so invested in that Daytona race where he says go like hell, like push 7,000. I really like that.
So interesting that we're being given so many different genres of racing. If you asked me before the season, like what car racing was, I'm like, NASCAR and Indy 500, and I think that's it. And this is like, you race for 24 hours with one vehicle, and if that vehicle breaks down, you're done.
It explodes.
Your car literally explodes.
Like, that's fucking cool. And like Amber and I were kind of asking this kind of as the movie was going on. I had to Google it because I was like, surely the driver isn't driving for 24 straight hours. Like, I've done like 8 or 9, 10-hour stretches, and that's like, and he's like, your vision gets blurry. You're losing your mind on the track. And I'm like, is this? But I learned they switch out like every 8 hours.
Which seems 8 hours is a long time to be racing at like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that I think his best time on the lap at Le Mans was like 3 minutes, 30 seconds. So like, you've been up for 8 hours. You've done,
homie.
I Googled It's the most laps ever done at Le Mans was 396.
Holy fuck.
It's like, what, 8 miles or something?
Yeah, it's an 8-mile lap. So just imagine doing that for 8 hours. You're just like,
yeah, and you're straining your body. You're like, oh, here comes the turn. Oh, barely made that one. Oh, and things are exploding. I can't imagine doing anything 300 times a day, much less go around a racetrack and almost die. Incredible, and I think you feel that in this movie. You even feel the RPMs, because they have these beautiful shots of like the thing redlining where it's like, and and you're kind of like waiting for the engine to shoot out and it doesn't happen. I don't know. I'm not invested in like engine shit like this. But I think this movie makes you feel it. They kind of give you a little bit of technical shit going on here.
Mm-hmm. You feel for Ken when he helps design this car, and then Leo Beebe, it's like, we're not sending him to drive.
Right.
And Ken's like, okay, well, we didn't finish the car. Really, he's telling Shelby, he's like, these are the problems. And my favorite part was, and come morning when the sunlight hits it, the gearbox is going to be hot and it's going to break. And then, kind of classic to all these racing videos, you get a radio on that's describing the race, and it's like, their gearbox exploded.
It was very Speed Racer.
Yeah,
That scene too,
same,
right?
yeah.
Because I liked actually, what's funny is this movie gives me a better appreciation for Speed Racer. The going back and seeing that Speed Racer actually is like, there are fiery crashes where people just fucking blow up. There are these like 8-mile long tracks. There are these boxes of announcers like describing everything in multiple different languages. I really liked all that stuff.
I also really liked the interplay between Christian Bale and Matt Damon's character. Just, you can see the friendship. You see the connection in this movie. Even in that scene Jace was describing when they were talking on the radio, and Christian Bale and his wife, or was it Molly?
Molly Malls.
But where they just kind of just like dance together and just drink a beer by the radio, and you can just like, it's like a loving, nice marriage.
There's scenes. She was the only female speaking character in this entire movie. Let's make
it doesn't
that
pass
clear.
the test. Yeah.
But she was so good, and their relationship was so believable. Jace already mentioned the conversation in the car, but like from a writing and acting perspective, that was a phenomenal scene because they showed that she wasn't in a lesser movie. She would be like, "You're racing. That's dangerous."
Yeah. You gotta stop, Bobby.
Yeah.
You can't do it
in
anymore.
This movie, it was, "You're lying to me."
Yeah.
And you need to stop doing that. And that was a really interesting dynamic because therefore the behavior that they're modeling for the audience is not go racing or don't go racing. It's communicate with your spouse.
Yeah. I appreciated that too. Yeah. And even to also mention like Ken's and Carol's like relationship just as friends, like where they're that really great fight scene where they're fighting like 8-year-olds and then just like hitting each other with Wonder Bread, down to, Carol Shelby like risking everything to kind of make sure Ken can be in the race. I think those are important factors kind of building up to the emotional weight of what happens at the end to Ken's character, which we can get to in a bit. But you get to the race, basically the 24 hours of Le Mans, which I think is another great fucking race scene. Tons of shit goes wrong. I think like you have all the Ford drivers trying to fuck each other over, and the Ferrari drivers just like, I think that's just a great sequence building up to, I think, one of the greatest injustices I think I've ever seen on a screen.
Yeah,
intolerable.
That doesn't even actually, I think, to me, make sense. Can I sound this off to you guys?
Okay, go ahead.
Le Mans is not a per lap. It's not like race 400 laps and finish.
Okay.
It's a race for time, which means, and as we were shown, that sometimes people get 2 laps ahead of you, and then you come in and they have to come in for a pit stop, and then you pass them 2 times. It seems like with the way that they were trying to portray our lead Ken Miles as racing, he would have ended up finishing at the same time as the other Ford cars, but it felt like he should have been like 8 laps ahead of them.
Right.
It kind of like, it was weird to me that he was so close to Ferrari that he beat Ferrari when Ferrari's car exploded, but that in the ensuing hours, he like lost so much time to the other Ford drivers, or they were right next to him, that he only had to, I think they said like wait like 3 minutes. like one lap's worth of time. So
Yeah, I don't know how far behind the rest of the Ford guys were. And I felt the same way, Jace, where I was like, how much did he have to pull back?
It adds to the effect of confusion, though, because I totally agree, and I had the same thought. Knowing that the end result also is that the characters themselves are confused about how the race is scored and how the finishing things made me feel a lot better, because like, oh, there's some things weird about the rules of this race, and waiting actually was bad idea and all this kind of stuff. So that's I do totally understand, but I think that I don't know if it was an oversight or not. It's kind of up in the air, but I don't think so. Did you guys know if that photo finish was real?
Yes, I did look it up. That did actually happen. And for folks at home, like what happened was basically Ken Miles, the Christian Bale's character in this movie, he was so far ahead of the other teams in this movie, including his own Ford teams, which have their own cars. And the Ford executives are basically like, hey, here's an idea. Have them all go across the finish line at the same time. So it's a 3-way tie for just Ford. And it's going to be a great company moment. And we won't have Ken Miles just kind of blowing everyone else, across the field. And, it can make the company look good. Ken Miles does this. It's very painful for him as a racer to purposely slow down. He goes and crosses the finish line, but on a technicality, one of his own team members ends up winning because he started a little bit farther behind when the race started. So because they crossed the finish line at the same time, because his teammate crossed a little more distance, he basically wins the race. And it's just this scene where you're just like, what the fuck? Like, totally screwed over. I guess the little I read on Wikipedia was that initially, the racing company, I guess, agreed to the 3-way tie. They're like, okay, great. You guys can do this. All 3 of you will be to a tie. And at the last second, I think they changed their mind. And then they were like, oh, McLaren technically wins because he started a little behind. But I think basically it just seems like everyone was confused. I think it was a dumb idea anyways to just do a company moment. And this, again, goes back to that theme of like, capitalism versus the art of racing, or versus like this whole speed racer aspect. Like, do you let someone do their perfect lap and be great on their own, or do you have this company moment? And it kind of comes up to like what Matt Damon said, where he's like, they sold cars. That's what they did at the end. And you don't see Henry Ford again after that scene. He just grabs that trophy. He doesn't give a fuck about Ken Miles, and I think you have a super bitter taste in your mouth at this point.
Man, this movie. This movie was an emotional roller coaster. We should be moving on to our meters. Do we want to? I think it's good to not.
Should we mention like the end? I was saying, should we not mention the very end?
Ken Miles, like many other people who do really cool things. Like if you want to watch the movie The Alpinist, Ken Miles.
Okay. Seen that
also,
movie? That?
Cliffhanger is pretty good.
Sylvester Stallone. Nice. Yeah.
Okay. I'll do this in 30 seconds. The Alpinist is a movie about this guy who free solos on ice. He does mountains without gear.
Okay.
He ice climbs. Super cool. You watch this whole movie. He's doing all these crazy climbs. He ends up dying in Alaska with a buddy when he was doing a geared climb. So he's the most. So Jesus. Ken Miles reminds me of the very sad. Same thing here with Ken Miles in the way
he
this
died
movie
ice
ends.
climbing in Alaska.
He does. Essentially, like he is in the super cool races where there are obviously stakes, and then he dies because his brakes overheat in this car that he's testing, this new car, and his car explodes when it crashes, and you're like, wow, fuck, that sucks.
Yeah. And this is coming right after where they're like, we'll get him next year. And you're like, oh, please have some justice.
I thought it was going to be like, him a flash forward to him being like an accomplished racer. I didn't know the story of Ken Miles specifically either. I didn't know it was the person.
Yeah. That tore me up. And especially that scene with Matt Damon at the end where he can't even bring himself to even talk to Maul in this movie. Like, he's just like, sometimes words fail, and it's just, you feel kind of robbed of an emotional closure moment. I don't know if this actually happened, but that just made me really fucking sad. Just when someone dies, oftentimes people will just close off and rob themselves of love and connection amongst like people who know the person. And that was just an extra sad moment for me. And seeing him peel out into the credits, into the sunset, was very car. I think it was effective for the movie, but it made me sadder. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think this movie was trying not to make you sad.
It was like his only friend.
Yeah.
We were really portrayed as he has companions that are a part of his business, a part of Shelby, but
yeah.
Just like me.
Well, yeah. We're a business.
I've got some people who are part of my business, but then
do we want to get into? Yeah, Brian, you're trying to move us on. We should move along. You're right. Car meters, accelerometers. How car was this movie? Let's bang through these, okay? Back in episode 1, I said I didn't want to see a movie that was more car than Tokyo Drift. All right, I was wrong. All right, this is more car than Tokyo Drift. Okay, this is about the conception of a car. This is a 2.5-hour car making movie. Making sweet car love and creating this work of art, okay? There's people waxing poetic about cars. You got tons of great garage scenes in this movie, tons of great racing scenes. You made me, a guy who does not really like cars, especially not loud cars, think those are cool, all right? That's an almost impossible task, okay? You have done something truly magical that I think touches on the power of movies. Okay, you made me think racing cars is cool. You made me want to race cars. Like, I think that I saw this movie and I was like, I feel like I could do that, which is completely wrong. Yeah, this movie is very car. It's called Ford versus Ferrari. It's about car companies. It's about a race car driver and a guy who makes cars, and they make cars. They did every car thing better than I think every movie we've seen, and it's a 10. 10,000 RPMs. The engine has exploded. 10.
Oh, yeah. Hey, take it easy. Or
hey, I should have listened.
Go full bore or
go like hell.
Go like hell.
That's that's what this movie did.
It did, yeah. Can I retroactively apply a -1 to, the rest of my score? I guess I'm right there with you. I feel like each movie that I felt has done car at a level of 10 has done it in a different way.
I think our 10s are getting higher, maybe?
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, in a way, for sure.
Yeah.
There is not much. I really enjoyed the engineering aspect of the development of a car in this, and the way they did it. And like, if it was Always Sunny in Philadelphia, at one point, Ken Miles was like, there's drag on the front of the car. And the scientist was like, the accelerometers would pick it up. And they were like, yeah, shut up, science. And they took the sensors out of the car and used a bunch of tape and yarn. And that was like the essence of, I feel like the essence of the movie was kind of two dudes who have the money of a big supporter who are trying to like live their dream. And that's just so fucking, that's car. That's car right there.
It's car as fuck.
10,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
And here comes Ryan with a 2.
Ka-chow. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10.
Oh, shit.
Also, I want to retroactively pitch the ka-chow meter.
Oh, shit, yeah. That's
we
good.
should have done that.
How many ka-chows is it?
Yeah, just say ka-chow how many times?
Ka-chow. 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 Okay,
3.
I'm not actually gonna do it 10 times. Yeah, no, this was perfect car movie.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree. Right? I wasn't sure which way. I was like, he could go our way, but I could also maybe say he doesn't.
There was an entire emotional plot point about a wrench.
Yeah,
like a specific
the wrench made
wrench.
me cry. The first wrench made me laugh. This last wrench made me cry.
There was a laugh to like a, oh wow, that's pretty cool, like a proud moment, and then it was oof, waterworks.
This is car propaganda. This is like peak car propaganda, and I think they really made something here. All right, I want to see a sequel.
You want to see them win the next 3 years?
Yeah, the 2066 Le Mans. I'll fucking go see it. Yeah, movie meters. What do we think about this thing? About this movie? Separate from how car it was, okay? Now, I don't know. These meters are blending for me now. Because now, like, some things that are, like, really car, I'm starting to kind of, like, think it's a good movie. So I'm going to try to keep this shit separate, okay? But I really liked this movie. I mean, you've probably heard just from all the positive comments I've been giving it. It's hard to make a 2.5-hour movie feel like it's exciting and paced well, and I think they pulled it off for me. Like, I didn't think there was any dead scenes here. I was kind of really into this shit. All the racing scenes, again, super dynamic. Like, when you see a race, you don't want to be bored. There's so many car chase scenes in movies where I'm just fucking tuned out. But every time I see wheels spinning and shit revving in this movie, I'm so in. I think all of the actors just delivered really, really great performances here. Even Matt Damon's silly accent, I still liked him in this movie. The script was super tight. I think there was a lot of great kind of like laconic phrases. People were just kind of doing all these one-liners. Shit was like funny and interesting. I think this is as good as this movie could probably be. Like there's a couple of like here and there things I didn't really like. There was that one scene where Matt Damon's kind of like fucking with the Ferrari team. I was like, I don't know. It's kind of sucks, dude. Don't fuck with the other team. I don't know. I don't know if that actually happened or not. It actually happened.
I mean, I don't know about that nut, but sabotage happened.
Carol, don't cheat, dog. You made a sweet ass car. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I mean, I think this movie really works on a lot of levels. It's firing on all cylinders here. I'm gonna give it a 9. I think it really made it here. I think it was deserving of the Best Picture nom and all those other nominations it got. I think it did a really good job.
It's hard to review a movie the week after you give Speed Racer a 10.
I think there's a lot of parallels.
I think I'm going to open with this movie. I think I'm also going to give it a 9. I do have to say that I think that this was the most visually stunning film we've seen in this season, if not for a long time. It was so visually striking that I spent a lot of time, compared to how much I've looked up of any other movie, researching what they did. And I think it was cool that they wanted to use this specific camera, but then they wanted to use this specific lens to get the effect that they wanted, but it wouldn't work on the camera. So they got some dude to make a prototype to make it work. And that was pretty sick. Christian Bale was just like slamming out phrases like pig in a poke, which means pig in a poke, which means a pig in a bag, which is an idiom from 1955. And the original idiom was, I will never buy the pig in the poke. There may be a fully pig in a fire cloak. Or something along the lines of that. And I think it means pig in a bag, and it means you don't know what's in the bag. You can't see what's in the bag. You don't know what you're getting. And I think like 9, if I didn't have subtitles on, I'd be like,
yes.
It would be like when Ryan's talking in that accent.
That was a real accent he did.
I liked it. I loved it.
Sweet. I'm glad you gave it a 9.
Yeah.
Jace, I will say I liked Speed Racer more. I think Speed Racer is my favorite still.
Ka-chow. I'm gonna give this movie a 10.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was on the fence between a 9 and a 10, and over the last 24 hours I've gone back and forth a couple times. I'm knowing that you guys gave it 9s makes me feel much more inclined to give it a 10, just because like if you guys were coming out with 6s and 7s, you know.
Yeah, it'd be embarrassing. Yeah.
It was just great. There was a lot of I think it's not, for me, I'm trying to get away from the idea that like a 10 out of 10 movie is perfect. There are some things I didn't like. I don't know how they would have done them differently. Like I said, the opening, I didn't really like. The CGI, I would prefer that they stuck to practical, but I don't know how you would do that with real Ferraris crashing.
Priceless 60
literally
Ferraris.
just like, there was only 3 made and they all blew up when that's actually happened in real life.
We found the last one and blew it up for the scene.
I really like the fight scene. There was moments of this movie that we rewatched because I like them so much, and Julie requested to rewatch a couple. I really like Tom Holland as the kid, as Christian Bale's kid. That was great.
Mr. Bale.
My favorite scene in the movie was the sunset scene where he takes his kid out on the track. That was just shot probably one of the most gorgeous scenes I've seen in any movie ever. And I would like to acknowledge that I don't think I've given a 10 in like 6 or 7 seasons. So
it's Interstellar.
We can do it.
Hot damn.
We can do it in the car season of all seasons.
I was not expecting a 10 to show up anywhere in the season. And I also think this is the first time where we are peaking both of our meters. Normally, if one meter's high, we are dumping the other one down, or it's always inverse.
Yeah, the curve.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the first meter where it's like peaked car and peaked movie, and I think this is something really special where you have something that's like, it's kind of in a genre. This thing does car movies better than anything else. I think that rules. Well, folks.
I liked Llama Bite. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, the llama bite. I'm just trying to think of like a dog movie that was a 10 out of 10 out of 10 on the dog meter. That would also be a 10 out of 10 on the.
No, that was the whole problem with that season. The concept
It's like
was failed from the start.
Episode 1 of this season, if you had told me a 10 out of 10 car movie would also be a 10 out of 10 movie, I'd be like, you're out of your goddamn mind. There's no scenario would I would agree with that. So I'm happy that how this turned out. Folks at home, if you like this movie, if you hate this movie, let us know. Jace found a guy who hates this movie online.
That I did. And somehow in the same breath mentioned the one movie that you would never imagine this would be compared to.
He invoked the art of racing in the rain. He
As
invoked
a superior
that movie.
comparison.
That doesn't even make it. Yeah, that made no sense whatsoever.
They're two different movies, first of all. Anyways, that movie's also made up. You could insert things.
I called you Julie because I was
Julie.
like annoyed with just stop. We can move on from
the movie's
arm racing
bad.
in the rain.
Okay, fine. All right, we're moving on, folks. Let us know what you think. If you watch this in the future, feel free to let us know. And stay tuned. And Jace, you got the next pick.
Ka-chow.
Oh God.
Okay. Cool.
We're
watching
it's
Ka-chow.
Cars, right? I
We're
was
watching
gonna let you say Cars.
1979's Ka-chow.
1979's Ka-chow, starring Burt Reynolds. Yeah, Cars. You guys know this. You guys know the movie, all right? And I don't think the description says anything else besides Cars. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how Cars is because, like, do we need to make an alternate movie called just Car? And it's just footage of cars.
I don't know, and I haven't seen it in years. This is our most requested movie, I think, this season. Mm-hmm. Everyone's been asking if we've seen Cars, or at least there's been indignation that we have not seen Cars after 8 movies. And they're like, is there other car movies? And I'm like, yeah, you fucking ingrate. Yeah, there's other car movies. But now we're going to watch the stupid Pixar movie that you wanted to see.
Life is a highway, folks. And we're going to ride it all night long. That sounds way different than the song.
Did you make that up?